Hi, Kenny Rubino, Devil's Digest. After reviewing the film a few times, what was your take on the passing game performance and specifically Sam's performance?
Yeah, I mean, he's through 2 games. He has no takeaways. We have very limited procedure penalties. He's getting us into good calls. He converted/extended 3 different third downs with his legs. So, I mean, everybody wants to look at, the 3 to 4 misses, right? Which for a variety of reasons, we could bend a route a little bit better to make it friendlier for him to layer a throw. Layering a 16, 17-yard like decoy or whatever you want to call the sail route versus a guy at 9 yards is really hard when you don't give enough space. And then he's missed a couple throws. Okay. I can sleep really well at night if our quarterback is just missing a few throws. I can't sleep if he's throwing to the wrong person, if he's turning the football over, if he's panicking when guys are aligned wrong or when the running back goes the wrong way on the goal line. He doesn't do any of that. And that's what gives me great, confidence is he's missing throws that he makes routinely in practice. In his second start with no rhythm. Feel really good.
Chris Cartman, Sun Devil Source. Kenny, you have the T-shirt that you're wearing that reflects ASU's efforts in Texas and recruiting them. This team has the most Texas recruits ever. What does it say about having these types of opportunities where you go back-to-back in Texas and in the Big 12 with what you're doing recruiting?
Yeah, no question. Obviously, being in the Big 12, we're going to play more games in Texas. So that's going to be one of our footprint. That's going to be the footprint. I mean, like I said, dating back to when I got here, I felt like that was the trend even before we moved. So we kind of prepared for that, and it came to fruition. And I think it's great for us to have more Texas kids on the roster than there's ever been, and now we play back-to-back games there. I think it's awesome for those guys to get to go back home. You actually noticed last week our team captains do something pretty cool. So if we go to somebody's home, our leadership council actually tries to select somebody from that town or city that we're playing to be a captain. So if you notice, Sip was a team captain last week because he's originally from Mississippi. Right, so he went out with our captains, and I think that's a cool thing that our leadership council chooses to do is they give up one of their captains of them and let it be somebody. So it'll be interesting who the guys pick this week.
Justin and Michelle. Hey, Coach. Justin Lasser, Toast Devil's Digest. Last Tuesday, you sort of mentioned that the energy wasn't really there on practice, and you sort of took accountability saying that you got to harp more on the Sundays, Mondays, getting your body right. So now, 5-day turnaround, first road trip of the season. How big of a focal point has that been, and has that process sort of changed for the Sundays and Mondays?
Yeah, well, we drastically changed a normal. This was a Tuesday practice, in a normal week, a day early, and we drastically changed the structure of the practice. We got to get to Thursday as fresh as possible. One of the biggest positives is our Tuesday and Wednesday practices have been higher workloads than the game, right? But we still hit more top speeds in that game. We had 3 guys at the skill position hit over 21 mile per hour in the game. Our mid-skill all hit over 20. Well, one guy hit 19 and a half, which are really, really good top speeds. So it shows us that we're not just managing workload, but we're managing bodies. This week is different. We have to get our guys fresh for Thursday. This is the best football team we've played. These guys play hard. They play hard. You watch the tape, these guys, they play with passion. They play with a chip. They're explosive. They're really good with the ball in their hand. We have to be fresh. We have to be healthy, and we have to be fundamentally sound.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Building on what you just said, Cam had 33 carries. That's a lot in any game, but it's a lot on a short week. And obviously he's the guy that was getting the yards, but any concern that, that was a lot of wear and tear on him for a short week?
Yeah, I mean, we sent him, have you ever seen Austin Powers? We sent him to the ice chamber and sent him back down. So hopefully that got him right. We'll find out. He came in and he's like, yeah, my toe's sore. I'm like, well, that's great news because I thought you were going to be a lot more things were going to be sore other than your toe. He's a really tough kid. He puts in the work. I think he can handle that type of workload this year, which he couldn't last year because the shape he put himself in to handle that type of workload. And the way he runs, he punishes people most of the time. right, which is a positive. You know, he's obviously going to have some bumps and bruises, but he doesn't take as much contact because he plays with such pad level, right? He inflicts the contact more than he does just take hits to the body just because his balance. And kudos to him. You know, we were obviously smart with him today in practice. The number one thing is to get him to Thursday feeling really, really good.
Coach Richard Science, Fox 10. Can reporters go to the ice chamber too? No, I'm just kidding. But piggybacking off of Cam, what's it like to have a guy that obviously has the talent, but also has bought into the culture that you're creating here, and just such a team player? Well, want me to take a direct snap? I'll do that. Want me to catch? Want me to run? I mean, and wants to win no matter what, even if it's dodgeball and camp. I mean, just
no question. I think for us, I challenge the Leadership Council. In our individual leadership meetings, and then in front of the team, multiple times of we're only going to be the standard is going to be set by not me. It's going to be set by the best players. Whatever our best players allow, whatever our best players do is the standard. Not what our best players say. What our best players do consistently is the standard. The effort they give, the physicality they give, how often they get treatment, how often they're prepared for practice, how often they show up 10 minutes early, all of it. And I think not just Scat, but I think our leadership council as a whole, they really took it upon themselves to change the culture, change the standards. And like I said, the standards I set are the minimum expectations. It's the team and it's the leaders that are trying to push and push to exceed what I could ever push them to be.
Hey, Coach. Ryan Myers, Devil's Digest. After finally kind of facing that adversity you've been speaking on Saturday, what was practice like today in terms of figuring out what the team needs to do in order to get through that moment again?
Yeah, I think the guys realized that you can't get lax. For how good we played, for the first 38, you could argue 42 minutes of the game. We're up 30-3. And for how good you play in that time frame, right, all got erased for 13 bad minutes. And I think that right there is almost it's a great reality check that you can dominate and play that great for almost the entire game, other than this 13 minutes. And that 13 minutes was 1 4th and 1 away from then having the ball on our plus 40, down 7. Should have been down 6. They missed an extra point, right? And that right there was a wake-up call for our guys on both sides. If we ever get down like that, we're not out of it. And if we get a lead like that, we got to finish them. We got to put them away. And we had our opportunities, and we didn't get it done.
Quick follow-up. Have you seen a immediate response from your team in practice today since then, kind of realizing that?
I don't know if they can, it's hard to put them back in that situation in practice, right? So we'll find out. Hopefully we'll find out. It would be an awesome situation to be in again. But I think we're going to start we're not going to just, have a knockout or knock somebody down 4 times again like we did the first 6 quarters of football, really 7 quarters almost of football have been pure domination on our standpoint. And we're not going to have that. I would love to say we will, and I hope we do, but it's not real. It's not real. We're going to face a team that starts fast like us, and we're going to have to be able to go back and forth throughout the flow of the game. And we got to be able to control the emotion. We got to be able to handle it, and we got to be able to respond with the emotional highs and lows of the game. And that's what I was proud of last night, or I haven't really slept last night, whatever night it is. The other day was we eventually snapped out of it, and a lot of teams can't snap out of it. We, not our coaches, I didn't say a word. I just told a couple players, go get your team together, get them to snap out of it, and they did. Boom. And that's the sign. It's a very good sign for our football team in the direction we're going.
Hi, Coach. Daniel
Hi.
Rios, State Press. Obviously, one of the easiest ways to win a game is, in winning in the trenches. And, throughout the first 2 weeks, you guys have seemingly done that on the offensive line. 7th in the nation on, running yards per game and 8th in total rushing. last year you guys dealt with a lot of injuries on the offensive line and forced a lot of people to step up. This year, what have you kind of seen from that unit 2 games in that's really impressed you? And going into this week, you face another tough opponent. What are you hoping to see again?
Yeah, well, they're just, I mean, that group is, I couldn't tell you, maybe one time, maybe twice or once since last season has anybody in that group been late to anything. They never show up on lists, ever, right? And it's the standard that Coach Sog demands, but between Leaf and Ben Coleman in that room and just what they demand, right, is as good as I've been around from a standard and individual room perspective. And like Leaf, we have these competitions where we do like Sun Devil Olympics or off-season competitions where you pick a team and you have to show up to class, right? You pick up trash, you get points, you do good in the weight room, you win competitions, you win. Leaf is 3 for 3. We've done 3 competitions since I've been here over a long period of time. His teams have won 3. And I think that tells you everything you need to know. Coach Saga was on Leaf's team twice, right? And then Leaf beat him when Saga was on the other team this last summer. And it sounds so like amateur, like, oh, you're playing home run derby and shooting hockey pucks and all this little stuff. But it's funny how the leader of that team is now leading one of the best units. It's not a coincidence. How you do one thing is how you do everything. How you lead one group is how you lead all groups. Whatever you set your standard, it's what it is. And I think Leaf and Ben have done an unbelievable job all off season. This isn't an accident. This is the work they put in.
Hey, Kenny, Blake Neiman, Sun Devil Source. You talked about at the end of fall camp about how Elijah O'Neal was one of the more improved players of fall camp. Now 2 sacks leading the team through the first couple of games. He recently posted on social media saying all you need is someone who believes in you. How has he been able to have an impact on this football team and really rise the ranks?
I mean, he just stepped up. I mean, that was a guy who got here last year, and I mean, you down block, and he'd be like, what is that, right? He was just so new to football, JUCO coming in, and the dude just worked and worked and worked, and he had growing pains. And at the end of last year, he started to grow. He started to like turn a little bit. You started to see it click and slow down. And then unfortunately, Prince went down right at camp this year, and fluke non-contact, and Elijah got to step up. And you saw his confidence grow, and now he's out there. I mean, playing at a really, really high rate, playing physical. Impacting the passer, playing smart, understanding twist games. Like, he's just a completely different player. So I think, I do think confidence is important, and I think how you coach people, you have to coach everybody different. I think if you just coach everybody the same, like, that's not good coaching. Everybody ticks differently, and I think understanding your players in year 2 is part of that.
All right, Coach, so you talked about Cam a little bit, just what he's done, AP Player of the Week. Just what does that mean just for him and also just for this program to be getting that national recognition?
Yeah, it's cool for him. I mean, I think it's a team award. I mean, you see Jordan Tyson on the last run of the game blocking one of their best defenders 45 yards down the field and then getting up with passion. Our entire O-line all night. You see our tight ends winning at the point of attack if they're in their 4-man front versus their ends, or getting up to second-level linebackers. Like, it's a team award. Obviously, you know, he's the one that got the ball, and he dominated, and he played great. We all know that. Like, he played like a man possessed in the football game in a positive way. But I think anytime you get an individual award like that, I think it just is. I think it's more of a team award. It's more of, hey, this is the guy who got the stats, but this is everybody's, you know, recognition for the work everybody put in. And the best part about it is, like, we established a run at such a level that, you know, we're going to be able to throw the ball. Like, I can say it in a press conference or not. It doesn't matter. Like, we're going to be able to throw the ball on early downs now because they're going to have to stack the box. Like, you have to. Whether they watch the same film as us, like, we have to be able to throw the ball on early downs. In a football game, teams are going to take away what they feel is our strength. We know that, so we're prepared for that. And if a team doesn't want to take away our strength, then we'll just keep playing to our strength, right? So it doesn't even matter that I say it. Like, we all watch the same film. We all see it, whether they hear the interview or not. We're going to run the ball, but we need to throw the ball better on early downs. And if they let us run it, we're going to keep running it.
And the announcer said that Scat kind of reminded him of McCaffrey a little bit. Do you see some similarities at all?
I mean, he wears his jersey pregame. That's it. I like to give Scat a little crap, but wears his jersey pregame, and Scat runs really hard, man. I mean, Scat's a unique player, and I've been telling scouts, all off season that, hey, watch. The guy who Scat actually kind of reminds me of is a guy I coached at Oregon, Bucky Irving. Very similar, short area quickness, really good hands out of the backfield, stockier build, strong build, really great contact balance. And I think Bucky just had like 7 carries for 40-something yards in his debut last night. Don't quote me on the stats, but I think it was somewhere around that. He called me like a week ago, Bucky did, just randomly. I'm like, what are you doing, Bucky? You're about to go play a game in a week. I just call and say, what's up, coach? But that's who Scat, that's who his play style really reminds me of, is Bucky.
Hey, Coach, Sean Brennan, Cronkite Sports. You guys are going up against the Texas State defense that got better from week 1 to week 2, promoted a coordinator from within. What have you seen, and what do you expect to see from that defense?
Blitz. They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz, and they're going to blitz a lot on early downs. Their D-line is really athletic. They create chaos, and that's their MO. Their MO is to create chaos. Sometimes there's 2 in a gap. They bring field, 2 trap pressure with showing bear on early downs and heavy trap and make you throw field hole shots. These guys play very, very aggressive defensively, and we got to be ready to combat that on early downs. And that's who they are. So once again, I don't care that they know that we know that. That's why you watch film, right? And we got to be able to combat that pressure. How they attack, I think that's a little bit of the unknown. We can watch all the last year's film that we want, but they're a little bit different this year in terms of how the new coordinator attacks. Obviously, he's one of the younger coordinators in college football, and I think he's done an unbelievable job in his first 2 games coordinating. He was a guy who used to be a high school coach, and he took a team to heights that the program never saw, got into college and rose really, really quickly. So the guy gets his defense to play at such a high level of energy, right? And then he's aggressive. So when you play at that level, energy level, he's getting them to play and they're aggressive, that's what makes them dangerous, is the aggressiveness combined with the energy level. Hard to create big plays when people are running the ball, or they run at the ball, and they create negative plays because how aggressive they are. So it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Hey, Coach, Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. You have Sam going into his 3rd start, first road start. On the other end, you have Jordan McLeod, who's been in college football since 2019. What have you seen out of him the past couple of years in your research?
Yeah, obviously he played really, really well last year before he transferred over. In his first few games, he's efficient with the football. He can extend plays, keeps his eyes downfield when he extends plays. He's got a really, really quick release, super quick release. Doesn't get hit very much because his release is fast and he knows where to go to the ball. Like you said, he's a seasoned vet in the game. I think we got to be able to disrupt his rhythm, which is like what you do to every quarterback and try to do to every guy. How you disrupt him is a little bit different week in and week out. How you disrupt guys, and I'm not going to get into that, but we got to be able to disrupt him. We can't get him in a rhythm like he has been and just let him play catch and let him throw hots, because he's really good at understanding where to get the ball to when you pressure him on early downs. So we got to be able to cover these guys and hit home.
And a quick follow-up. With a guy like McLeod, with a guy like Bo Nix, where it's year 4 or 5 for them, what sort of things can a quarterback do in college football where it's year 2 to year 3, but they're more seasoned than that?
I think kind of what I just said in terms of they've seen it all. So you're probably not going to spook them. You're not going to go out there and run something new and be like, oh, they're not going to figure this out, or he's going to get rattled here, right? He's going to be like, oh, they spun to 3 weak and brought corner cat, or they played 40-0 coverage, 4 to the field and zeroed out the boundary, and we're bringing cat opposite the back. Oh yeah, I've played this 12 times in my career. You're not going to spook them. So there's really not as many tricks. It's just, how does everything look the exact same? We can't give him any tips because he's seen too much. It's about the pictures being the same. And if we can give identical pictures, right, then it doesn't matter how long he's played college football. The pre-snap picture he's getting is the same over and over and over again. And I think for some guys, you can give so many pictures that it overwhelms them. Guys that haven't seen a lot of football. Then other guys, you can't give. They've seen so many pictures. It's easy. You got to give them the same one and give them different looks. So I think that's the challenge this week is how can we not let him know what's happening, and we can't give things away.
Last 4 questions. Damon, Max, Jake.
Hey, Coach. Damon Allred at Arizona Sports. With the run defense being one of the more effective areas of the team so far, and Texas State coming off a 200 rushing yard game, what are the things that make Texas State's run game so tough to defend with it being so spread out?
They're physical. They're physical. They're very, very physical. You can tell, obviously, GJ, he's a head coach of the football team, and he's worked for Gus Malzahn. They run almost every run scheme available. They run dart versus odd. They run single back power. They run 2-back power. They run GT counter. They run counter at YF. They run lead outside zone. They run tight zone. They run duo. It's like they run everything. And you can tell the identity of how it all begins is the running game, and that goes back to what I believe is his philosophy as a head coach, is he wants to run the football, and kind of his upbringing of I want to run the football, and I think that's what opens everything up. So I think kudos to him. He's one of the youngest head coaches in college football. I think he's put together an incredible football team. I think people should talk more about the job he's done. He's going to be on most of the head coaching watch lists to go be a head coach in the Power 4 level here in the next 4 months because of the job he's done here. This is a football team that is a Power 4 football team, in my opinion. Like, this team could go win a lot of games and compete in the Big 12 Conference. And kudos to him because he has really good players he's recruited. They've bought into his culture, and they're playing really, really hard, and you can see that in the run game.
Hey, Kenny, Max Pitt, Arizona's family. Can you at least talk about, for the youth that your team has, facing a team filled with seniors and fifth-year students, what necessarily the challenge is to go on the road, not only on the road for the first time this season with this young group, but also on a short week? Can you necessarily express what the difficulties are about that?
Yeah, fatigue. You have to put in the work. The work has to get done. Whether you're on a short week or a long week, and I'm not saying the physical work, I'm saying the mental work. You're still going to play a game. So you have to put in the same amount of mental work you'd put in on a full week in a short week, right? And if that means you have to cut it by 10% because we cut calls a little bit, that's a coaching balance that we've got to balance for the guys. But it's, how do you find time? Do you sacrifice? What do you sacrifice to make sure you're putting in the same amount of time that you did in the prior weeks to start fast and play how you played early? And I think that's the biggest challenge. And when you're on the road, right, we can't create pre-snap penalties. We can't kill ourselves. We got to stay focused, no pre-snap penalties, no bad penalties. If you look at the second half, that's really the tail of the second half is penalties. It's absolutely right, wrong, or indifferent, whether I agree or disagree with them. We just got killed with critical 15-yard penalty, 15-yard penalty, 15-yard penalty, 15-yard penalty. Oh, my gosh. Every time you look, there's some 15-yard penalty, and none of them are actually responding to personal foul penalties. We did a great job there. They're all interesting penalties, and it's unfortunate.
Hey, Coach, Jake Sloan, Devil's Digest. Do you think after the adversity that the team faced in the second half last week will kind of set the tone of how they'll respond to that in the future with all the games when they're up big?
Yeah, I hope we have to respond like that every single week from here on out. That's what my hope, but that's not going to happen, right? There's more than likely before we face that again, we're going to face a game where we're losing. Knock on wood, we haven't been trailing yet, right? So we will be trailing in a football game. That's going to happen this season, and hopefully not for a long time. But if it happens on Saturday, we got to be able to respond to that. And that's the part that I didn't really like is that 4-5 play series, we let that moment of them scoring and the momentum flip, right, when there's no reason it should have flipped. And that's what we got to get better at. Is I think we'll respond to success better because I think our guys just felt it. I think we still have to learn how to respond to that failure. And we did it good at the end, but there was just too many plays there in the middle that if we didn't have that big of a lead, it would have been gone.
There was notable improvement in special teams from game 1 to game 2. Ian Hershey making good on all 3 attempts, 2 of them long ones. Did you see something in practice leading up to that game that you would see the improvement was? I mean, what was Ian Hershey's, I guess, demeanor in the days leading up to practice? Because I'm leading up to the game, I'm sorry, to really shake off that performance.
I mean, to be honest, he had a horrible week. He missed like every kick. And then he goes out there and absolutely nails them. I mean, over and over again. And today, he killed it again today. So he's in a rhythm, right? I mean, he is absolutely killing it right now. And unbelievable game by him, unbelievable game by our specialist. Every single kickoff was not, was booted, absolutely gone. Another personal foul penalty on an opposing team's kickoff return because of how physical we're running down the field. That's 2 for 2. And just being violent and playing with effort, getting people frustrated and not responding. That's probably the first time in my career I've seen that on a kickoff unit. And we just got to continue to grow there. But, yeah, Ian did a phenomenal job in the game. I was super, super proud of him. His kick at the end of the third quarter, 8 minutes left on the third quarter, 7:30 left the third quarter, critical kick to take a 4-possession lead.
Hey, Coach, on that note, so he has a really bad week coming off a rough game. You have options. What was it about? What did you see in the week that, you and Coach Regal decided to stick with him?
There was never really a waiver there. I felt good. Like, he was in the game. He missed 1 kick in the football game, but I got a lot of confidence in him. Like, I never really wavered. He just, Tuesday practice last week, he just didn't make kicks. I don't know how to, part of it. It's like sometimes you go golfing and you can't make a putt, right? And then sometimes you go golfing and you never can make a putt. We want to take those guys out, right? But he's not like that. Normally he makes putts, and he just had a bad day. And then he comes out there and he sunk them all again. And today he sunk them all again. So he's in a really good groove. And he's got a big leg. I mean, in pregame warm-ups, he made a 55-yarder and had 7 yards, 8 yards to spare going north into the wind at the time. And I was like, holy cow. Like, I felt really good at that point when I saw 1 pregame field goal. And it was a 55-yarder north into the wind, and he made it by 7, 8 yards. I was like, all right, we're good. We're going to kick these things. Thank you. You all have a great day.